Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome back. I hope that the snow and ice have melted where you are, and that if you haven't been able to dig your way out, that you are able to do so soon. I hope. Give a few more seconds here to see if we have any more going to trickle in. Hey, Gary. Good evening. All right, everybody. We'll give it another minute or two. It looks like I still got some folks trickling in. Good evening, Elephant 7510. Hey, Gary, by the way, good call on the chair, man. Made a huge difference. So the little rinkety dink old chair, that thing had been through, I think, 2 apartments, a condo, our little house, and then the house out west, this house, plus the college. So long way. All right, everybody. Good evening. So not trying to be clickbaity and not trying to hide the ball. So you'll notice I've been gone off of YouTube for I don't know, close to 2 weeks probably, and haven't done a build in a while and a few other things. All right, like not the end of the world. All right, and I'll start with this: nobody is dying, and no one has died. Okay, but I see the comments, I get the emails, and I am aware that you all know when I'm not here. Okay. And wanted to give you guys an update as to why. Now, I talked with Megan. She gave me permission to tell this. So this is not without her knowledge. Okay. She has a history of migraine headaches, and it's not uncommon to have migraine headaches. A large percentage of the population has migraine headaches, and in fact, even people who don't have a history of migraine headaches will, from time to time, get them. Um, Sinus infections, emotional or environmental triggers, etc. Right, so they're not uncommon. Megan has a long history, and for several years they've been relatively regulated. She hasn't had to have sort of any kind of sort of medicinal intervention in close to 20 years, 15 years, something like that. And then in the last year or so, she gets migraines about once a month, sort of on the same schedule, and we expect them when they come. We know how to handle that when they do come, and I know what I can do to help her. She knows what she needs to do. Okay. And then she started feeling a little bit off on Saturday, Sunday, over the weekend, right? Because we had been out for the ice, and then we were back in, and then so we missed that whole week. And we all started to get sick. I still got a little bit of some sort of upper respiratory or something. Anyway, you sort of hear it in the cough. I feel fine. I've just got this cough that sounds like death. And we were at home. It was after dinner on Monday. I had the kids in bed, and Megan was doing homework, and I went to check on her. I just sort of had this feeling something was wrong. I went to check on her, and she had her glasses off, was rubbing her eyes. I said, "You okay?" She goes, "I'm having trouble seeing out of my left eye." And that is not how her migraines manifest. Her migraines manifest in the traditional way, right? Light sensitivity, noise sensitivity, massive headache, pain, that sort of thing, right? Just the traditional indications of a migraine. I said, "Well, do I need to take you somewhere?" And she said, "No, I just want to take a shower," because that's her go-to cure. So she took a shower. I checked on her a few minutes later. I just had this feeling something was wrong, so I had actually already reached out to our babysitters and to find out which one was closest and could be there the fastest in the event I needed them. And she got out of the shower, and um, I went to check on her, and she looked at me and she said, "I have weakness. My right leg is weak. My right arm is weak." And I said, "You need to get in the car, because for those who don't know, those are stroke-like symptoms." All right. Um, what is it? Face, arm, fast. Face, arms, speech, and something else. Okay. Uh, Now, my babysitter, to her credit, I called her and I said, "I need you now." She said, "I'm leaving my house in 3 minutes." 9 minutes later, she was knocking on my door. I put Megan in the car, drove her to the ER. If you want to get front row seating and you want to be, you don't want to wait in the ER, you give them this list of symptoms. All right. So I rolled in. I put Meg in the chair, helped her walk in, put Meg in the chair, and I walked up to the triage nurse to do the intake, and I gave a list of symptoms: uh, loss of vision in the left eye, and blurred vision in the right eye, weakness, numbness, and tingling on the right side. And the nurse jumped out from behind the counter, ran and got a wheelchair, threw Meg in the wheelchair, pushed her straight into the ER, sort of the central nurses island there, and said, "Stroke protocol now." And of course, I'm just standing there like a monkey doing a math problem, and I just sort of stood against the wall, and then they took her wheelchair down the hall towards where the doctor's bay is. They put me in the trauma bay, and I could sort of see out the door that they gave her a neurological examination. Stand up. I have the history of seizures, so it happens, right? Anyway, so they start doing this neuro exam on her, and and then I look over and she's gone. And what I've realized is they have probably taken her to the CT lab or the CT room to get a head CT. And then, if necessary, if they found indications of stroke, to go to the cath lab to immediately do a catheterized intervention. And in the meantime, I'm trying to keep my family, her family, and her administrator team, her assistant principal and counselor, and the people who work with her and for her, apprised as to the situation. And they came back a few minutes later, probably 20 minutes later, and they did a big blood draw, ran a whole bunch of labs, CBC with diff, CMP. And they also tested for troponin, which we'll talk about in a minute. And they brought in the trauma team. They had the trauma PA, and then they had the trauma doc. All came through. They called out to a neuro. They didn't have a neuro on site at the ER, so they have a telemedicine agreement with the hospital in Oklahoma City. So they telemed in with the nurse, the PA, and the telemed nurse. Or sorry, the telemed neurologist. And anyway, they went through the whole process, and she still had some localized weakness in her right arm and right leg. She had some little bit of a slight motor deficiency, but everything else was negative. The head CT was good. MRI, we didn't get the MRI till the next morning. They ended up admitting her and holding overnight. MRI was normal. Labs were all good. Nothing stood out. There was nothing of concern in any of the labs they ran, but she was still showing signs of neurologic deficient of having some sort of neurologic deficiency. She was neurologically deficient in some capacity, primarily with left side vision and right side arm and leg, upper and lower extremity. And the doctor, so after, and by then we hit the doors of the ER at like 9:40, right around 9:40, we hit the doors to the ER. And about 11:30, the attending physician came in, did another, they probably did 15 neuro screens on her. Now, understand too, the whole way to the hospital, like I recognized the signs of stroke, and that's why I was pushing her so hard to go. And to her credit, she finally went. I recognized the signs of stroke, and so I made her talk to me the whole time because I know that loss of speech or deterioration of speech are certainly signs. That's the S in the FAST. And there's a new acronym. I think somebody stuck it on there. Be fast. We'll get to that in a minute. But I made her talk to me, and I was able to then help answer a bunch of questions. All right. After, and they admitted her overnight. The head CT came back clear. So, and then they also tested for troponin. All right. And the reason for troponin, there are sort of, obviously she had stroke symptoms, but also possibly a heart attack. Very small possibility, but more stroke. There are two kinds of stroke. There are hemorrhaging strokes where you have a bleed, and there is an what do they call it? Embolic or embolic, something like that, stroke, where you have a blood clot that is interfering with the blood's ability to get to the brain. All right. And when that happens and you're having an infarction, there's an attack because there's a lack of blood, cells begin to die immediately. And when those cells die, they emit, I don't know if it's a protein, if it's an enzyme, they produce this thing called troponin, and it shows up in the blood work. So when they ran the troponin came back normal, which is awesome because it means there's no cell death. If there's no cell death, it means there was no part of her brain or her heart or lungs, for that matter, that were ever without oxygen. All right. So that's fantastic. They ended up admitting us overnight. They finally got her settled into the room about 1 o'clock. And by the time the charge nurse came in, by then she was well asleep. By the time the charge nurse came in and got her charted, got all of her charting up to date, I finally said, I hate to leave, but I got a babysitter who did not sign up to spend all night with my kids. And right now I have my 2 children plus a bonus baby. This was on a Monday, right? So they've got school the next day. One of them has school. The other 2 go to daycare. Like, we got things to do the next day. But also, this is a college student. So this individual has class and other responsibilities the next day as well. Like, so I got home about 3:15, 3:30 in the morning, and I was able to relieve the babysitter. By the time I was able to wind down and get to bed, it was a little before 4. I woke up at about 5:30-ish, 5:45. Got the 2 littles ready. Got them to, or I guess got all the kids ready. Got the littles to daycare. Got the big to school. And then I went back to the hospital. By the time I got there, they had just done the MRI, and the MRI came back negative. They also did in the ER, they did a 12-lead EKG. And the next morning, they did a vascular ultrasound, a bubble scan, or where they put the fluid into the colored fluid into the IV, so they can track its movement through the carotids. And they also did a carotid ultrasound as well. All of that stuff came back normal, clean, no issue. And by that point, sort of that night, even in the ER, we had a working definition, a working diagnosis of complex migraine. There are certain types of migraines called complex migraines where you have visual auras. And the way she described it, if you've ever seen the cover of a composition notebook, where it's sort of got the black and white marble looking cover, that's kind of what she was seeing. So they were technically visual auras, but not in the traditional sense where it's like these big circles, right? These were, I think she said, like yellow with purple rings or purple with yellow rings, something like that. So by the time they admitted her, the working diagnosis was complex migraine, but they needed to run some additional tests the next day, the MRI, the echocardiogram, and the ultrasounds to just clean up the record and make sure everything was good. And so it was good. Turns out it was not a TIA. It was not a stroke. It was not a heart attack or an infarction of any kind, just a complex migraine. So because of that, I've been a little bit derelict and leading up to that, she had not been feeling well for a few days, but like every woman, she's just tough as nails. I joke and say that, labor, when a woman has labor pain, she finally understands the way I feel when I have a runny nose, right? Those of you who follow that reference, she's tough as nails, doesn't ever want to go to the doctor. So she followed up with her primary care today. Was able to come up with a treatment plan. They are going to refer her to a neurologist for further evaluation of these migraines. They have, at this point, to our knowledge, conclusively eliminated stroke and TIA as causes, primarily for a couple of reasons. One, none of the tests indicated that it was a TIA or a stroke. A TIA is, they call them a mini stroke. It's called a transient ischemic attack. But both of those, most of the time, both of those leave evidence behind. There'll be troponin in the blood, or you'll see the scar tissue, or you'll see it in imaging. Like they leave a trail of breadcrumbs, like a slug trail or a snail trail, right? That slimy stuff. There's a trail of evidence left behind when these events occur, and none of those events occurred in this case. And so we within a reasonable degree of medical certainty, it does not appear to be a stroke or a TIA, but rather a complex migraine. Okay. And we personally know someone who had a complex migraine so severe they lost their ability to speak. They had to go to speech therapy to learn how to speak. And they were in their 30s, I think, late 20s, early 30s when this happened. Okay. And Megan's 38. I also know of people who've had migraine so bad that they have to learn how to walk again. And so Megan had a meeting. So we got her home Tuesday evening, we got home. She had one meeting she had to make on Wednesday. She worked a half a day Thursday, and she worked a half a day today. And finally, before I came up here, she was downstairs just doing like even some folding towels or whatever. Sorting laundry. Laundry was clean, just sorting it by, the human being who was responsible for it. And I said, you finally look like you're feeling better. And she just kind of said, yeah, I finally do feel a little bit better. The MRI also showed a raging sinus infection behind her left eye in that left orbital sinus. So that very well could have aggravated the migraine, and also could have either caused or exacerbated the vision. And when your balance is off and your vestibular system is off, if you've got that pressure in the sinus backing up, and it's the eye and the inner ear are not talking to each other, so you have the weird balance of vestibular issues and the proprioceptive issues, and then the complex migraine causing the numbness and tingling on the right side. You kind of put all that together, and that particular symptom set with those two diagnoses fit better than a stroke, than a TIA, than a heart attack, than an infarction, than a whatever. All right. So I apologize for my absence, right? So this sort of started a couple of days, late over the weekend. I will also say this, and I told her when this started, listen, I am not going to be rational about this for one reason. And those of you who've seen my channel, you may or may not know this. I don't know. I'm not sure who else is with us tonight. I do see the chat run, and I'll get caught up on that here in a few minutes, but otherwise I'm going to forget my talking points. When I was 19 years old, I was freshman in college. My mom got sick. They had just come back from my mom and dad just come back from their 25th wedding anniversary down in one of the Caribbean islands. I don't know, the Virgin Islands or St. Croix or something, or St. Lucia, somewhere down there. I think it was St. Lucia. Anyway, they came back, and that would have been in late September. And he was right around October 10th, somewhere around in there. She started not feeling well. She was supposed to come up and watch I was playing college basketball in St. Louis. She was supposed to come up and watch. She and my dad were supposed to come up. We were going to go watch OSU play Missouri in Columbia. just a couple hours from where I lived. And my dad called me up on Friday and said, "Hey, bud, mom's in the hospital, or sorry, mom's not feeling well. We're not going to be able to make it this weekend. Watch the game on TV. Maybe we'll see you in the fan section, but we're not going to be able to make it this weekend. But grab your buddy." So I took a buddy with me and went to the ball game. Right, no big deal. So we get there, and so then I talked to my dad that weekend. I talked to my mom that weekend. I talked to my mom on Monday. Was it Monday? Yeah, it was a Monday, because she was admitted to the hospital on Monday. I talked to her on Tuesday morning, October 14th, 2008. And I believe, if we check, let me check the date, but I believe that it was a Tuesday even. It's been a minute, but I believe it was a Tuesday. Let me go here. If I go all the way back to 2000, that's a long time ago. Looking at my calendar now, my goodness. Tuesday, October 14th, 2008. All right, yeah. My mom ended up having a blood clot that broke loose and ended up in her heart, and that afternoon she died. But she was having those same balance and vestibular issues and all this kind of stuff that Megan was showing. And so I told her, I said, I am not going to be rational about this. This is the same symptom set my mom had, and she never left the hospital. And about the time I was about to tell her to get in the car, she decided to get in the car. So that's where we are. She's doing fine. She did get an extension on her coursework, for those who know she's finishing her doctorate. So she did get an extension from her faculty to finish her coursework, for those who've been tracking that journey for last week. All right. So she does have additional time to finish that. That's the good news. All right. She had finished, I believe she had finished the previous week's stuff. So it's the week, like the Friday, like today, she's got a bunch of stuff that she had stuff due tonight, and she has stuff due on Sunday. So she got a couple of days because she spent about a day and a half, well, just under 24 hours in the hospital. So wanted to give you guys that update. So for my prayer warriors out there, whatever you want to send up for her benefit, I think would be greatly appreciated. All right. So let me run to the chat here and see where I left off. All right, we saw Elephant. We saw Gary. Art and Courts, good evening. Reverend Dr. John Benjamin David K2 8596. No hat? No hat tonight. No hat tonight. I normally wear a hat when my hair is either wet or super messy or super greasy and dirty. And right now, for whatever reason, it's none of those things. So I don't have a hat. I also need a haircut. I'm kind of like looking homeless. Jody Who, good evening. Hi there from down under from Aussie Girl 953. Good evening. Anon 330. Hi. Uncivil Law, stay strong, my friend. Thank you, sir. I appreciate those kind words. Have a history of has a history of migraine since age 5, and I'm 57. Yeah, some people have them. It's one of those things. Our court says, yeah, they really move fast when symptoms are of a particular nature. We found that out with my pulmonary embolism. Yeah, those are scary. Those are scary for sure. And then, yeah, this is the new acronym. It used to be FAST. Now that's BFAST: balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, and time, the golden hour. Yeah. We actually were within the goal. We were like 10 minutes outside the golden hour. I mean, I know how fast the speed limit is, and I know how fast I drove to get her to the hands of competent medical professionals. Laurie Sue Cragen, clamped 4411. In October of 24, I was diagnosed with a blood clot in my right sigmoid sinus. 2 weeks in ICU, but my MS elicited similar speech impediments. It was tricky. Recently, MS required an emergency bowel resection. Yeah, those autoimmune diseases are weird, man. They really are. I identify with all the emotional stress this entails. I'm sorry all you've had to go through this. That's okay. I appreciate those kind words, and I hope you find yourself on the mend soon as well, Laurie. Had complex migraines as well. Yeah, Megan had never had one, at least that I can think of, that she's ever told me about, and she doesn't ever recall having at least one of this nature with this particular symptom set. Jody, who says, I don't work in the medical field, but I actually understand everything you're talking about. I wish I didn't. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, the man cold. Yeah, for sure. In reference to I joke that when a woman's in labor, she finally understands what I have when I have a head cold. Yeah. Amy Green, 259. My goodness, that's a lot. Hope she feels better soon. Thank you. And she is. She started feeling better. I mean, so what they do when you have these migraines in the ER, whether it's a migraine that manifests traditionally or one of these complex, they give her a 4-drug protocol. It's Toradol, which is like Benadryl on is it Benadryl on steroids, or I'm using the whatever it is. It's like Benadryl on steroids, or sorry, Motrin on steroids, whatever it is. They give her Toradol, they give her Mucinex, which is dexamethasone, I think it's dexamethasone. Anyway, they give her Mucinex. They give her they give her this 4-drug cocktail. One, the Toradol comes in a syringe and it's IV injected through the syringe. The rest of it is through an IV drip bag. And it will knock her unconscious for like a day and a half. But she comes out of it. Most of the time, she comes out of it feeling like roses. That's about our 4th trip to the ER with migraines. When they just won't resolve. So we go up there because they can give her that rapid infusion. I joke that I should become a paramedic just so I can give the infusion at home, although that probably violates multiple tenets of medical ethics. And so by the time we got by the end of our trip in the ER, they had already given her the migraine cocktail, which had calmed her down. It had knocked her out. Her blood pressure came back down to her. She doesn't have a history of high blood pressure, and when we came in, it was freaking through the roof. Which is again another possible indicator of stroke. But her again but that was just a stress reaction, right? So after her blood pressure came back down, if it had remained elevated, then you got an issue. In this case, it was just a stress reaction. So. Gary says, sounds like everything is good. So she's back to Choctaw, Choctaw strong. Yes. Yeah, she is. She's wicked strong. Very much. So glad Megan seems to be feeling better. Yeah, we finally got there. I've never heard of a complex migraine. I know several people who get migraines, but just wow, prayers for you all. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nana Donna, I call you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a journey for sure. If I look like death, I feel I'm tired, right? My body is tired. I haven't had enough sleep. But relatively speaking, I'm okay. I saw somebody today, a friend of mine at the central office. Wow, you look like death. Gee, thanks. Good to see you too. I appreciate those kind words. Because I got back, like I said, was it about 3:30 in the morning? 3:15, 3:30. By the time I got down, it was 4, a little after. I was up again at about 5:30, 5:40. So a little over an hour of sleep. Got the kids up, got them dressed, off to school. I was back at the hospital. We got kicked about 2:30. The doctor made the decision to discharge about 1, but that process takes time, right? They got to get all the medicine and this and that. Anyway, we got the whole thing. So we finally got home 5-ish. Well, yeah, we got home just in time for me to park, let her go inside, and go get the kids from daycare. So it was another full day. She was by that point doing better. I had a relatively normal day on Wednesday. And then yesterday I had to take a group of kids to Northeast Oklahoma for the regionals of the Oklahoma Aviation State Championships for high school students. And we left the parking lot at 6, which means I was up at 5. And my normal mornings are up at 4. I'll be honest, I have not gone to the gym this week. I have not had remotely enough time to try and do that. She can always blame it on her revision comments. I'm glad she's okay. Thank you very much. But she still has the migraines. Can nothing be done? This is from Ann Ganaski or Ganask. I'm going to say Ganaski, 4648. So she is now on a migraine control medication, which is a every other day thing. But sometimes some people just suffer from migraines daily to the point that they have a provable disability, and it interferes with their activities of daily living and quality of life. Yeah. Can nothing be done? Maybe not at this point. Not really, but let's kind of hurry up and wait and see. So, Elephant. I had massive migraines for 20 years. Only one good week a month. Pyramate every day has been a life changer for me. She was on Topamax for a long time, and now she's on Nerved. I think is the new one. Prayers for your wife. Thank you so much. High blood pressure, sign of pain. Yeah, and it was interesting because the ER doc said that often, um, like the light sensitivity and the auras and stuff, will often sometimes these on complex migraines, some of these external signs and symptoms manifest before. A lot of times these signs and symptoms will manifest a few hours before the pain. So when we went in, she actually felt no pain, but the doctor even said, "Hey, in the next little bit, you're going to hurt," and then it hit. Then she was hurting. Art Court said, "I don't think paramedics are allowed to administer Toradol. Might need to go to nursing school instead." Maybe. I wasn't sure what all national registry certified paramedics could do. I know they can do ACLS and they can do PALS, pediatric advanced life support. I know they can push certain cardiac drugs, and so I didn't know if Toradol was in that mix. Migraines of any sort in women are well a cause of hormonal imbalance, regardless of what appears normal. Blood work is imperative, yet HRT has proven beneficial. All true. Yeah, all true for sure. Let's see. Art and Quartz. Now we have Chris is here. Now we need Laura and James. I haven't seen Laura Waldy in a while. I don't now. Granted, I don't normally jump on. Well, I guess I'm on most Fridays and Saturdays. I don't tend to jump on the middle of the week. I'm still processing it as middle of the week because I was gone Tuesday. I was at work Wednesday. I was with students yesterday, but I was away from work, but with students yesterday, and then Friday. So I was there Monday, gone Tuesday, there Wednesday, gone Thursday. So my days are all sort of jacked up. Depakote ER, extended release 1 gram, 500 mils each night to prevent migraines. I'm allergic to tropin drugs for migraines. Yeah. So there's these different classes and categories of medication to treat migraines, and tropin is a class of medication or category. I don't know the difference. I certainly didn't go to pharmacy school, but anyway, you guys get the idea. So I appreciate everybody logging in and checking on me. I appreciate it. You guys show a ton of support. You really do. My car learned a new trick. My driver's side window is now stuck in the half down position. So if you see me driving around with my driver's side window down and it's 14 degrees outside, mind your business. I don't know what it is. This is the 4th time it's done it. So if I repair it, it'll be the 5th window motor. So I'm sort of at the point where I just don't roll any of the windows in the car down. I just open the door. So if I have to get a cup of coffee to drive through, I open the door and yell at the screen, and then I open the door and fish my hand around it to get it from the window, the whole thing. She was here for a few minutes ago. Yeah, she was. Yeah. Laura was here for a while back, but I also know that my life is crazy. I mean, I was gone for a year and you guys are still here for me. So there you go. So I've got to figure out, still got to figure out what I'm gonna do about my car. I told Megan I'm gonna start using all my YouTube revenue to save up to buy a vehicle, to buy a new vehicle. So anyway, we will maybe tomorrow. Well, I can't tomorrow night. I was gonna say I'll do it tomorrow night. I can't. Tomorrow night I get to chaperone the high school winter dance. Woohoo. I am always asked, and I always say yes, because someday I'm going to need a favor as well. I say that jokingly. In education, we're in the service business, and our job is to provide a service to our students. Most of the time, that service is to educate them. Sometimes that service is to make sure they have a hot meal. Sometimes that service is to make sure that we're able to get resources for their mental health needs. Sometimes that service is to give them an outlet where they can come together and spend time with their friends in a safe, healthy way. And so anytime there's a dance, I get asked to help babysit, because when you're 6'7" and 1 biscuit shy of 300, just simply being in a space makes people behave themselves for whatever reason. So I say all that. Won't be on tomorrow night. We'll have to see about Sunday. I'm hoping, Lord have mercy. Once Meg gets his doctorate done, I might be able to get where I can get to the gym in the evenings instead of at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock, and that would allow me to do some more weekday streams. So, yeah, I really need a new vehicle. I'm like, past 200,000 miles, and the bushings, the carrier bearings squeak, and the engine makes funny noises, and it's one of those cars where you don't want to put money in it. So I do oil changes and tire rotations, and then when it starts making a noise I don't like, I just turn the radio up. All right, let's see. So at some point I'll be on the hunt for a new vehicle. If I had the cash, there's one I picked up. There's one I found that's gorgeous. It's a all black crew cab Toyota Tundra TRD Pro with this beautiful red leather interior. It's gorgeous. I'm not going to tell you where it is because maybe I get lucky or something and I find the cash. I'm not going to tell you where it is. I want you to go buy it out from underneath me. Let's see. Art Court says, I feel lied to. Moved to the South, was told I left the cold in New England. Yeah, the South cold's a little different. Yeah. The New England cold is that bone chilling cold. The South cold drops in, makes everybody want to crawl in a hole and die, hangs around just long enough for us to realize we don't like our family as much as we used to, or as we thought we did, and then it goes away and we go back to our activities of daily living. Elephant says, as soon as she sees the aura, the weird flashing, colorful, blinding light, take the rescue med before the pain comes. She doesn't have a rescue med. She's on a regulator, so she's on I think it's like every other day or daily or whatever it is. But she's not on a rescue med. I know about my conditions. I don't know enough about how migraines work to have an opinion on the matter. I just, also, guys, and I don't know why I didn't think about this till right now. It's events like this where you guys, all of you viewing this channel, if you're a minor, no, your parents do this for you. But if you are of the age of majority, so in the US, 18 or older, you really need to have an advanced directive for medical care that identifies if you want to be resuscitated, that identifies if you're an organ, eye, or tissue donor, that identifies what you want your decisions to be in the event you are unable to make those decisions. Okay. So Megan has one. We filled one out. We completed one in preparation of thing one being born. And so we have one executed for her. And that's good because I couldn't remember what was on it. And she, between the medication and then her being essentially unconscious, asleep, in a controlled sleep, I was a decision maker. And if something had gone terribly wrong, I can't tell you with confidence that I would have made the right decision, but for that document. I had that, I could access that document, and that way, and then I'm carrying out her wishes. So please, if you don't already, get an advanced directive for healthcare. Identify a healthcare proxy. If you can't make decisions on your behalf, who do you want to make those decisions? And they can make any decision in your best interest, except any decision contrary to what's on the paper. So they can consent to surgery, withhold surgery, consent to treatment, withhold treatment, except if you say, I don't want to be resuscitated, they can't tell the doctors resuscitate them, resuscitate her, resuscitate him, right? So go ahead and do that. You can, some doctors' offices have them. Most lawyers that do estate planning have them, but you can also just Google one. Something's better than nothing. Please do not tattoo, do not resuscitate on your body. Don't be the one that we have to have a case of first impression about in that case, all right? Fly Girl 716, cool name. Be curious to know your story. I get aura migraines that cause my vision to look like a kaleidoscope. When it happens, it's prior to the migraine. I asked my doctor about it. He said it was my body's early warning system. That's true. Gary says, so Art Course, you're the reason for all this freaking cold. Yeah. Busted kids smoking grass in the parking lot. Nah, not as much. It's more vapes in the bathroom than it is joints in the parking lot anymore. We actually have vape detectors in the bathrooms that go off when it detects vape. The K-12 schools were closed for more than 2 weeks from ice. It's been wild. Yeah, so the problem with the winter weather, Arden Courts, first off, welcome to the South. The big issue with the weather in the South is we don't get a lot of snow. We get a lot of sleet, we get a lot of rain that freezes, or we get a lot of freezing rain. We don't get a lot of snow. So you can have all the snow plows in the world, but snow plows don't work well for ice. All snow plows, when you try to put a snow plow on ice, all it does is tear the road up. Also, for my higher education friends, including Arden Courts, the Oklahoma governor signed an executive order today dissolving tenure for regional universities in Oklahoma. So if you've been fortunate enough to receive tenure already for public institutions, it's not the private institutions and it's not the comprehensive research institutions, it's the smaller institutions. So that affects 400, there are 712 full-time faculty that already have tenure in the regional system, and there were 412 faculty that were on tenure track, that were tenure eligible after 5 years, that have now lost the ability to secure tenure, which is just, it's asinine. Moved to South Carolina about 18 months ago and would rather winters here than 65 years of them in Massachusetts so far anyway. Well, there you go. Hospital admissions offices have them, I'm being told, by the Reverend Dr. Benjamin David Tattoo. Then that may be true. I've never asked. I'm as a lawyer, I've never needed to go find one, but that would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. And then if you have ask your friends if they have one. If you want to be nosy, ask them what's in it. Hey, have you filled out a healthcare directive? If there's, hey, where did you get it? Who'd you get it from? Right. I would be happy to share the template that I have, but I know mine's only good in Oklahoma. It references Oklahoma law, but like if I have a friend reach out says, hey, I need an advanced directive, or I ask my friends, do you guys have advanced directive? They say no. I just email it to them with instructions. Fill this out, get a witness, right? Here's a template, go through it, fill it out the way you want, and then follow the directions about how to get a witness to notarize, whatever, right? Like if it requires it. So, and it's free. It doesn't, a lawyer would charge you for it, but if you get a copy of it, it's free. Go to your local county in Oklahoma or in most other states. Probably, I know in Oklahoma there's Vernon's forms, and in a lot of other states there's like these template forms for various legal issues. Go to your local county law library or local courthouse law library, and most of them have law librarians. Ask the librarian, hey, do you guys have a form book? Dig through it, see if you can find the advanced directive for healthcare form. And the copies are normally like 5 cents a page or whatever. Even if it's $1 a page, get the freaking copy of it. Get the template, fill it out. Ask the doctor about a rescue med like sumatriptan or one of the more recent ones. There's no reason she shouldn't have one. So she met with her primary care today, and she has a referral to a neuro. I'm going to defer that advice, and Ella, that may be solid advice. I don't know, and I know it's coming from a good place. I know you. I know how you feel about us and about our channel and about my channel. So I appreciate that. I will defer, however, that decision to a medical professional. If her neurologist or her primary care physician feels like a migraine rescue medication or intervention is necessary, then they will make sure that she gets that. But there are lots of factors in deciding what's appropriate there. Was it close to 30 years of migraines, and this is the first complex migraine she's had? Right. So, and when her normal migraines come, she can function with them. She's able to go to work. She's not pleasant. And you can tell she doesn't feel good, but she's able to go to work. She doesn't miss work for it. She goes to work through it. It doesn't normally affect her activities of daily living and her quality of life. This one did. But I will defer that. It's good advice. And I will certainly tell her that you recommended these things, but I'm going to defer that to a medical professional. Gary asked, have I seen the IJR case about the casket case they filed here in Oklahoma? I'm not sure what IJR is. The casket case they filed here in Oklahoma. I haven't. I'll look at it though. I'll look at it. I blew somebody's brain earlier. I blew their mind earlier today. A friend of mine was coming into work, and he parks in a parking lot. Institute for Justice. I haven't. I'll look at it though. Thanks, Gary. I'll look that up for sure. Probably that tonight while I'm laying in bed. I can't sleep. I have a friend of mine, and he works. Okay. And he works at a building, right? Works inside this facility, and there's a road between the parking lot where he parks, identified as not necessarily his parking spot, but like it's one of the approved places for employees to park. Right? You can't park in the middle of the road because people can't get by, and you can't park near the loading dock because the trucks can't. You like that sort of thing, right? Like, hey, you don't have like here's a list of places you can park. You can park in lot A, lot B, lot C, lot D, whatever. And so he parks in this particular lot, which is an approved lot. It's across the street from where he works. And after the ice storm, but while the streets were still recovering, while the streets were recovering, he had parked in the lot, and was attempting to walk across the street to his place of employment, and he fell and sustained some fairly significant injuries. Fractured a bone, suffered disc issues in the neck and the back somewhere. I don't know exactly. I don't know if it was a cervical, a thoracic, or a lumbar, so neck, middle back, or low back, but suffered some significant injuries. And the question is that a compensable claim under the workers' compensation, or does he have to run it through his private insurance? Right. Well, turns out there was, HR said one thing, and but just by happenstance, there was this thing popped into my head, and I went, you know what? That's a fact pattern. I've seen that fact pattern before, and it involved Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma City. So their OSU OKC campus. A lady parked in a parking garage, a parking facility dedicated to employees. That was an approved area for her to park. And it was icy, and while walking from where she parked to where the building she worked in, she fell and sustained an injury, and the workers' comp system said it's not compensable. You weren't at your workstation. But it went all the way to the Supreme Court of Oklahoma in 2015 in Bober versus OSU. The Oklahoma Supreme Court found that no, in fact, if you are in a parking spot designated by your employer as an approved place to park, like if it's just you work here, figure out and park wherever you want to, that's one thing. As opposed to, like, imagine a college, right? Certain people can park in that lot. Certain people can't. Students can park in this lot. Faculty can park in that lot. That's reserved for the president's office, right? You guys can imagine, right? And so the Oklahoma Supreme Court said, if you are in a parking lot, even if it's not your building, even if you're not at the place where your duty station is, and maybe you're not even clocked in if you're an hourly employee yet, you haven't reported to your duty station. If you are parked in an area delegated or designated by your employer as an approved parking spot, that is a compensable injury. And so when I found out about it, I immediately said, hey, that's not right. There's case law on this. So I called a very dear friend of mine who's probably, I'd put him in the top 3 experts in Oklahoma workers' compensation law. I called him and said, hey, what is the name of that case out of OSU OKC? Before I even finished, he said Bober versus OSU. And so I told the person, hey, ask HR to reconsider. Have them send it to the comp carrier. If they do, great. If they don't, whatever. If the insurance company pays, great. If they don't, I can refer you to my friend. He'll sign you up. He'll take great care of you. Right. So there you go. Let's see. Zach, I grew up next to an Air Force base. This is Fly Girl 716. Grew up next to an Air Force base, which gave me a love of aviation. Also spent 10 plus years working commercial and at an FBO. Perfect. The casket case started in Gary's backyard. Gary, I have so many questions. So many questions. You didn't come across as a John Wayne Gacy sort of guy, but maybe you are. I don't know. Never met you. And Calvin. No, I'll look at it for sure. If you can think of the name of the case, if you don't want to drop it in the chat, it's fine. His email. You got my email. You can email it to me as well. Durable power of attorney is a good idea if you have a child who's just turned 18, because now you cannot make decisions for them anymore. You cannot even access their medical records. Oh, to get your child a durable power of attorney. Yeah, if they're willing to let you, you cannot force them, of course, because they are the age of majority. They are of the age of majority, rather. But yeah, you certainly could. It's certainly good advice. Let's see. Suing the Oklahoma Funeral Board. Yeah, send me information. I'll look it up for sure. Donna truly hated winter. Never learned to ski, skate. So basically hibernated like a bear from November to March. It's 71. I can't do it either. There you go. Art Court says it's definitely been a better winter overall than Massachusetts, but 2 weeks of ice was quite unexpected. I would think so. I would think so. Yeah, for sure. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out how tough I am, because tomorrow, thing one, is going to a birthday party at a skating rink, and has asked Dad to go. And we're going to find out if I have the mental fortitude to say no, or if my brain is still going to have 16-year-old boy excitement to go, get on the wheels or go fast. We're going to find out. So if you see me tomorrow night, casted to the wrists and the ankles, unable to chaperone the dance, you'll know how that went. My dog was excited. I think he forgot snow exists. That's funny. Have you been watching the missing person case of Nancy something? Are you talking about Savannah Guthrie's mom? Maybe. Art Court says you're tall. That's a long way to fall. Yes, that would be a true statement. I have been. That's a weird deal. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but my spidey sense is tingling on that case a little bit. And so for my law nerds, if you had any inkling at all of to read more on the let's see, courts. Sorry, if you had any desire to read that Supreme Court case I was just talking about, I'm going to give you the citation for it here. The citation is 2016 OK 78, which is the public domain site, or 378 Pacific 3rd 562. And there's a couple of really interesting dissents. But the Oklahoma Supreme Court does not do an excellent job of when there are dissents, of writing dissents. They'll just say dissenting or Justice so and so dissents, but there won't be a written dissent. The U.S. the Supreme Court of the United States, there's always written everything. But there are two written dissents on that. One of them, the first one, by Justice Winchester, wherein he is joined by a few others, is really a pretty good dissent. I still think the majority got it right, but I also think Justice Winchester raises a couple of really good points in his dissent. Let's see. Had to laugh over the deal with an HOA in Nashville over the generator not being allowed because of aesthetics. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So anyway, like for Art and Courts or any of my other law nerds on here, if you have a desire, I think it's a really well written opinion. The dissent is really good. Justice Winchester's dissent's really good on it too. But it's the case of Annette Bober versus Oklahoma State University and the Workers' Compensation Commission. Supreme Court case number WCM-114038. And it was 2016 Oklahoma 78 or 378 Pacific 3rd 562. Brentwood, isn't that one of those? That's one of those fancy, expensive neighborhoods just outside of Nashville. Like I think Dave Ramsey lives out there, and some other folks live out there in Brentwood. There's another one. I think that's where the crazy church, the crazy cult church is. The weight loss church. What's her name? Like she had the super big hair, and she married the actor from Tarzan, and then he killed them all in a jet while crashed the family jet while he was trying to fly him to a Trump rally. You guys see that? What's that one called? Remnant Fellowship Church, Gwen Shamblin, Brentwood, Tennessee. I feel like there's a lot of country music record execs and country music bigwigs that live out in the Brentwood area. Yeah. So Way Down was the documentary, but like, yeah. Remnant Fellowship was the name of the church. It was Gwen Shamblin Lara, and she ended up marrying Joe Lara, I think was his name, and he was like the original Tarzan, a live action Tarzan or something, I forget. And then there's an HBO documentary called The Way Down. Bunch of stuff on YouTube about it. Yeah, really interesting. I think that might be where Taylor Swift's house is, probably. Let's see. A quick Google search says that she lives in Forest Hills between Nashville and Brentwood. 5,600 square foot Greek Revival. Don't get me wrong, that's a big house. It's not as big as I thought it would be. Massive house. 6 acres. It sits on 6 acres, including a 2,000 square foot guest house, a swimming pool, and a recording studio. She also bought a condo in Nashville's the Adelicia building for $2 million. Yeah, so there you go. Let's see, Nana Donna. I fell on a small patch of ice during COVID 6 years ago and had a mild concussion, I think, for a while, and that's when I started planning to head south. There you go. Well, I would say welcome to the South, but I don't always agree with what's happening here. Ooh, what's happening here? Oh boy. Oh no, it's on back order. I gotta have it by March. I'd like to have it by the end of February, but I ordered through one of my vendors a 10-foot tall by 10-foot wide by 20-foot long inflatable drone arena. So when we go out in the community and do community STEM events, when we go in the community and do community STEM events, then kids can fly drones in that thing and not tear it up. Art Court says the food is good. Yeah, but if you eat too much of it, you'll die young. Because as Billy Joel said, only the good die young. And they only die after eating biscuits and gravy, chocolate gravy, anything that's been dipped in butter, rolled in batter, deep fried and covered in sugar. And then let's see, whiskey's better. Yeah, I agree. Whiskey is better. Now, I prefer Scotch, which is not only is it not Southern, it's not even American. But what do you know? All right. So we've been going almost an hour. If you guys have a few questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, we'll get wrapped up. And big thanks to Gary for the new microphone stand, so I'm not chasing it around the room anymore. And for the super sweet chair, so I don't feel like my back is going to break all the time. So hot chicken mac and cheese on top of fries. Yeah, when the protein is covered in so much carbohydrate that, you don't have to eat, rice for 2 months. And I am still so obviously because between everything that's happened with life and whatever else, I am not yet quite finished, but nearly so with the rocket with the rocket ship 3D poster here. So we are making. I haven't done any. I mean, you guys have seen me put every block on that thing. I haven't done anything since the last time you guys were with me for that. Okay, that's many questions. I'll take them. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell icon so you're notified every time I've got something in the pipeline for you. Lots of ways to support the channel. If you want to support the channel, you can do that. We've got a Patreon. We've got memberships through YouTube now. We've got an Amazon list. We've got the merch store. All kinds of super duper cool stuff. So if you want to support the channel, lots of great ways to do that. It's always been free. There will always be free content on this channel. And the good news is I finally have the drafts of a variety of partnership agreements and promos ready. So if you have a product or something in that space that you are interested in doing a collaboration or a partnership with, there are certainly opportunities to do that as well. So just get with me. Let me know. The JP's hot chicken. No thanks. Anything that says hot chicken to me is kind of like Taco Bell in that it burns going in, and then I have to strap myself to the commode so that I don't get launched into space. And bummer, by the way, on the Artemis dry wet or the wet dress rehearsal, just a leak in the hydrogen fuel system. It did not. The good news is it did not. If based on the information I've read, it did not come from the actual vehicle itself. It came from a piece of ground-based equipment. So that fix should be quick and inexpensive. But they're looking at March 8th now as the target launch date. What chocolate gravy? Is it real? Oh yeah, it's real. I gotta be honest. I don't love it, but yeah, it's a cult following. Chocolate gravy is a sweet sauce made with flour, fat, cocoa powder, and sugar. It's commonly served for breakfast over biscuits in the Appalachian Mountains. Let's see if I can find a picture of it here. Like you make it just like regular gravy, but let's see if I can just throw that image up there for you guys. Nope, not what I wanted. Wrong button. That's what I wanted. Share screen. Yeah. There you go. Chocolate gravy. I don't find it remotely appealing, or I don't find it remotely appetizing. But I know so many people who do. My goodness, I know a lot of people who do. Whiskey butter flambéed banana French. That's an awful lot. That's an awful lot of steps. What do I like about Japan if I like Japan? Well, the tradition of first off the way the culture of respect is in Japan is significant. I think it's unique. I think amongst the world, across the world at least, to my knowledge. And certainly, I also have a ton of respect for the samurai culture, for their education system, for the way that elders are treated and viewed, both within their family units as well as within the greater society. I've never had the opportunity to go to Japan, but I've heard very good things about it. It's one of the things I would like to do one day, is to go experience Japanese culture in Japan. Hartencourt says, Elephant says, I'm definitely not from the Midwest, South, or East Coast. Yeah, it's all right. That happens. All right. Listen, guys, I appreciate everybody logging in and they're coming in and hanging out with us tonight. I really do. I'd like to sometime this summer, I need to plan to get together. I don't know if it would be better to do it in Dallas or in Oklahoma City, what that would look like. To see if, I don't expect my Aussies and my Canucks to come. I would love to have you, but I don't expect anybody to get on an 18-hour flight from Sydney or Perth or Melbourne to here. I think that's just unreasonable. But if you guys want to come to me, stop you. Probably do it in Dallas because that's going to be between DFW Airport and Love Airport. That would be you'd be able to get any airline would be able to get you there. So. Listen, I appreciate everybody coming in and listening to me ramble. I read the emails. I read the comments. When you guys reach out, I see it. I don't always respond, but I do see it. And I don't have a staff right now. It's just me. So it's not like I got somebody reading emails or something. It's me, right? What you get is what you get. So, anyway, and I will pass along to Megan your kind words and your well wishes. I know that'll mean a lot to her. And she's doing, all things considered, she's really doing well. So I appreciate everyone's patience in this journey. All right. Do me a favor. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe channel, hit the bell notification, spread the word, tell your friends about us. But if you haven't already, be nice to somebody. Sorry. Be kind to someone. We'll talk to y'all real soon.